People have described my performances as events that bring together people to experience vivid colors and unsettling images to distort the state of consciousness. In my performance, I physically shed and cast off layers in a struggle to expose a series of bodily textures and emotions. The performance has left the audience feeling that they have seen something erotic, but not specifically sexual. My sculptures create illusions of otherworldly transformations as I contend with the given space and the constraints of the wearable objects.
People commonly describe my work as expressive electronics explored through music with an emphasis on performance art. I tie together the different senses by combining movement, sound, and light through the use of electronic mediums. By utilizing technical skills via hand-built electronics, I use my artistic outlook to bring warmth to a medium that is often considered sterile. I breathe life into my electronics works to create an emotionally captivating, multi-sensory experience.
The power of our work combined mobilizes our ability to create an organic feedback loop of movement and sound.
Together, we create immersive environments where our tangible expressions create dynamic audible experiences. We would like to call this piece Positive Contact, which will be performed by ourselves, Darcy Neal and Hannah Thompson. This work will be a visual representation of struggle and will involve a choreographed progression of our bodies through a series of sculptures within the created space. Through areas of conductive fabric and thread connected within the sculptures, our bodies will modulate the sensors, which will trigger changes in the lighting and control the sound.
Due to the rise in digital communication and the abundance of internet usage, we are interested in exploring proxemics of human interaction. Social media gives us the illusion of being connected, yet more than ever we're experiencing the phenomenon of extreme physical disconnect. Combined with the oppression of the impeding patriarchy, we are becoming conditioned to being physically disconnected on a community level. We want to use our performances to explore the reintroduction of mutual support and physical contact.
In the performance, we will be using imagery of the two of us struggling towards one another in order to come into contact and create a connection where our bodies become the conductive materials controlling the sound and light. Our message is that as we try to come together, we are still often physically disconnected through means of online communication, and subsequently we are often pitted against one another as outside forces like the patriarchy of society encourage us to be competitors instead of allies. As the audience sees our bodies work against an outside force, we will begin to band together as we rediscover how to reconnect on a physically engaging and mutually supportive level. Throughout the piece, we will be searching for ways to effectively struggle to overcome the oppression of patriarchy and learn to band together in a physical way as a unified whole. Our individual selves will not be fully revealed until the end, after we have discovered how to create a world that works for us harmoniously.
In this residency, we plan to explore the combination of performance with electronic sensors and theremins inside of wearable fabric sculptures. In preparation for the residency, Dallas-based Darcy will build soft sensors, while Pittsburgh-based Hannah works on developing a series of wearable fabric sculptures. Together, we will meet in the space the pearl diving residency would provide us to explore and rehearse movement and soundscapes with the weaving of theremins and soft sensors in fabric sculptures. The two performers will use their movement to show a struggle against their physical constraints of worn sculptures, which will in turn manipulate the theremins to control light and sound, which will be a feedback loop. So how the performers manipulate their movement will dictate the soundscape, thus creating a fully immersive performance environment for the audience to digest.
Some of the examples of how we will integrate sensors to control sound and light during our performances is to utilize different components such as e-textiles, which would use conductive fabric, conductive thread, and or conductive yarn. We would use physical computing, utilizing microcontrollers and hand-built electronics. Another example is stretch sensors, proximity sensors, and touch sensors, which would be used by using 2 points of contact controlled by varying amounts of physical resistance, which is emitted through touch points in the human body. We would also use the soft sculptures as vessels for light reactive theramins.
In May 2015, I worked collaboratively with Arvid Tomiko Peters on a performance at a month-long residency in Providence, Rhode Island at AS220. In this work, we built backpacks with tentacles that plugged into sculptures, which were performed in the culmination of the residency. The tentacles connected to soundscapes we had built. So as we plugged into the environment, we turned on more music. I also have directed a number of dancers through my work, people who have never danced with soft sculptures, and it was really great to experience how people would experience the constraints that I was placing them in. It gave me a stronger sense of my work from understanding other people's practices and how that related to being in these situations. I want something more flexible, something organic with soft sensors that are more reactive to touch. So that's a reason that this is very important to me.
In the past, I've worked with other experimental musicians and artists to create visual soundscapes, but the drawback for me was that it was still considered just a musical performance instead of a multimedia performance art piece, which is what I'm truly interested in. My work with Hannah bridges that gap between music and performance art because we are truly coming together from 2 different creative backgrounds, and we are sharing our complementary skill sets in a seamless manner. If I had unlimited resources, time, space, and people power, I would build an exploratory installation where the entire space would be filled with interactive elements that the audience could engage with on a personal level. This would consist of sensors that could be played by one person and others that would require multiple people working together to achieve the desired result. There would also be a series of interactive sculptural installations where the audience could engage with the sculptures in different ways so that the tactile exploration of the sculptures would result in the cross-pollination of the senses.
I would create a large hanging sculpture that could be unfolded and performed as aerial silks with multiple dancers emerging from hanging cocoons, finding their way through the space. The dramatic lighting would transform the visual perspective of the objects. Each wearable would be reactive to both pressure and touch, controlling the sound.
This is an exciting opportunity for us. As you may have gathered, our individual selves have been dreaming of a collaboration like this for years, and we are very excited to have the opportunity to utilize this potential residency to further explore our collective goals for interactive multimedia performances. Thank you for considering us.